Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ali Ghaffar. Tonight on the show, we're going to focus on Pakistan's upcoming tour to England. And with all the SOPs and new rules and regulations in place, it should be interesting to discuss. Remember, the West Indies will be playing England before that. So the good news is that cricket is coming back. The ECB have worked very hard to make this happen, and thankfully it is happening. So we will discuss that with our guests online. And then after that, we also have a little tribute to a former Pakistani commentator that passed away over a month ago. But first, we're going to focus on Pakistan's upcoming tour to England. We're going to do that with our guests online. But before that, our PTV World production team has prepared a package on the upcoming tour. Let's listen in.
Ahead of the tour of England, Pakistan was scheduled to play 3 one-day international matches in the Netherlands and 2 T20 matches in Ireland. However, in April 2020, the matches in the Netherlands were postponed after the Dutch government announced that it had banned all events in the country, both sports and cultural, until 1st of September 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Pakistan cricket team is scheduled to tour England in August and September 2020 to play 3 test matches and 3 T20 international matches. The test series will form part of the inaugural 2019 to 2021 ICC World Test Championship. The first test match is scheduled to be played at Old Trafford, with the remaining fixtures taking place at the Rose Bowl, with all of them taking place behind closed doors due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Pakistan have named a 29-man squad featuring under-19 star Haider Ali to take on England in 3 tests and as many T20s on their upcoming tour of the country. In addition to Haider Ali, another uncapped player, Kashif Bhatti, features in the squad, while Suhail Khan, who last played a test in late 2016, makes a comeback. The squad also features 34-year-old batsman Fawad Alam, who hasn't played an international match in 5 years, although he was part of the squad for the home test against Sri Lanka in late 2019. Speaking on the selections, Misbah Haq said that there was an emphasis on grooming youngsters, while Suhail has been selected with the view of adding depth to the fast-bowling reserves. Missing from the squad are Mohammad Amir, who has chosen to stay back as he expects the birth of his second child, Hassan Ali, who is out with a back injury, and Haris Suhail, who opted not to travel due to the pandemic.
Now, to talk about the upcoming tour in further detail, we've been joined by 2 very senior sports journalists. I have with me Leena, Moin Aziz, and Mr. Abdul Ghaffar. Assalamu alaikum to both of you.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you.
Great to have you on. Leena, first you. We'll talk about the new SOPs in place, and but first what this tour represents. And remember, before that, the West Indies will be playing test matches against the English. At least we're getting to see cricket. That's the positive out of this.
Yeah, you're right, Ali. I mean, at least cricket is coming back, but not in the ideal fashion. But these are not ideal times, as you know. I mean, the pandemic has hit the world so badly. I mean, even the UK has been hit. So, of course, I mean, we couldn't have expected to play, with full houses and all. But I do have a suggestion. I mean, with social distancing, perhaps we could have had 25% capacity in the stadiums, which would have meant that each spectator would have been sitting 3 to 4 places vacant, with 3 to 4 places vacant next to him. So at least that way, cricket without any spectators or people watching it is like a gulab jamun without any sweet. It's like eating a gulab jamun without no sweet. So, if I would have been in charge of things, maybe I would have had, maybe 5,000 spectators in a capacity of a 25,000 ground. So, that way both the things could have been done. But then, right, like you said, at least it's coming back, and maybe next step would be for people to think like that.
You see, I get what you're saying, but if you're a diabetic, you can't have a gulab jamun, can you? So and if you want a gulab jamun, you have to make sure there's no sugar in there, nothing sweet. So yeah, it won't taste as good as it should do, but
yeah,
you've got to do it, and we've got to start somewhere. Isn't that right?
But Ali, let me, before Ghaffar pitches in, let me say that people with diabetes also have gulab jamuns with sukral or some sweetener. So those 5,000 people could have been the sweeteners.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But I'm saying, yeah, you have to. It has to be altered, right? You can't have the gulab jamun you want or the aloo gosht you want. You can't have as much salt, you know. So you have to make sure that everything's in order. And remember, cricket is just coming. Cricket is just returning. So, I mean, we will have some teething problems initially. Fans just need to be patient. Isn't that right, Abdul Ghaffar?
Yeah, thanks, Ali. And first of all, my protest with Leena. What about the Barfi level? Why you are mentioning just gulab jamun? Actually, we have the Barfi level. But I think I agree with Ali first of all because it is so heartening to see that cricket finally make a comeback. And a few minutes ago, I was with the Zoom session with the West Indies team players, and it was good, very good to see that the international media and even from media from Pakistan and other countries were so keen about that series. And I think West Indies suddenly become a biggest brand of the cricket right now because they are part of the resumption series. So I think I must say Pakistan Cricket Board also deserve a lot of credit here because even before West Indies, Ali, we all know that Wasim Khan and PCB and Ehsan Mani gave their consent to England and they encouraged them that yes, we are coming, we will support you in the difficult times. Every cricket board should support each other and without supporting each other and obviously without support of other boards, no board can easily now handle the bilateral series matter. And we all know that World T20 Asia Cup is very uncertain. So I think bilateral series, I think for the next 6 months, maybe for the next 12 months, will be the way cricket can be played. I can't see World T20 and Asia Cup happening because so many teams involved means so many complexions, so many complications. So I think it is so good to see that cricket finally make a comeback, and I think Pakistan, West Indies, their consent to visit England in these tough times, COVID-19 times, I think this should be written in the history, and Pakistan and West Indies deserve a lot of credit for this.
Yeah, you mentioned the T20 World Cup. If there are going to be no crowds, yeah, then it'll be a bit of a far cry. In Test cricket, unfortunately, over the last 5 years, let's say, we're used to not having crowds. Maybe not in England and Australia, but in other parts of the world. So we can see Test cricket happening, but maybe not a T20 World Cup. That's a bit of a stretch. But Leena, just a little bit about the SOPs. Now that's been under discussion for a couple of weeks now, especially saliva on the ball. And some fast bowlers have come out, like Wasim Akram, saying that then fast bowlers will become robotic. And we all know the Pakistani fast bowlers over the years have worked very, very hard on the cricket ball, which is why they've been so successful. So now with all these rules and SOPs in place, it's going to be quite difficult for the bowlers to get used to, not just the Pakistani bowlers, but all international bowlers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree with you. I agree with Wasim Akram. I mean, putting the saliva on the ball is one of the key things to keep the shine on. I mean, in every team, there is one fielder who is assigned to do a job for the team to keep the ball shining, and they usually put the saliva and do it with their sleeve. Sometimes they shine it on their trousers. So yes, I mean, in a way, for right now, till this pandemic sort of fades away, inshallah, and goes down and it finishes and the world comes back to normal, the fast bowlers will have a very hard time. And I think it was Anil Kumble who said that, this is the time for the spinners to shine, because the fast bowlers won't be able to shine the ball with the saliva, make, one side shiny, so they can reverse swing it and also get the, the conventional swing. So it is time for the spinners to come to the party. But the point is, it is unfair on the fast bowlers. I don't know. I mean, maybe for this period with the pandemic being so prominent and dominant, maybe they should have allowed a little bottle of Vaseline or something then, because the ball has to be shining. I mean, on a serious note, it has to shine for the bowlers, especially when they're playing with the kookaburra. The kookaburra has no seam, and about after 15 overs, it's dead. So they need all these other tricks to get it to move, get it to swing. But with the Duke ball, I mean, still, I mean, there is a chance. But I see them not doing as well with perhaps no saliva being allowed to use it. That is why I feel Pakistan is taking 10 fast bowlers, which is absolutely not understandable for me. For 10 fast bowlers, I mean that should also be a record. Ghaffar was saying we should go into history books, and yes, we should, for being brave and starting cricket in this pandemic. Perhaps we should also be going into history books for taking 10 fast bowlers.
Well, let's talk about who they've selected. It's a 20-man squad for now. We all know that Haris Sohail has opted out, as has Mohammad Amir, and Hassan Ali is injured. Right now, there isn't much emphasis on the players that have been picked. We're talking more about the secure conditions that they're going to have to play in, and the SOPs and no crowds. But I mean, this is so that's why we're not really paying attention to the squad. But overall, Ghaffar, especially in the last few years, Pakistan have done well in England through their fast bowlers. In 2016, Yasir Shah came to the fore. Our players enjoy playing in England. So I think, there's no reason why Pakistan can't be successful. Yes, England will have an advantage. A, home conditions, and B, they'll get a good practice against the West Indies. But I think it should make for a good series.
Yes, absolutely. Pakistan very impressive in the last two series against England. In England, also don't forget Pakistan also doing well when they play England, and even in the UAE. I think the last 10, 12 years, Pakistan not England not able to beat Pakistan in 10 series. Either the test series won by Pakistan, or either the series being drawn. So I think yes, absolutely. Pakistan squad in the last two test series we played in the last two tours was quite balanced. This time around, I just observing this, that in the absence of Mohammad Amir, and especially Wahab Diaz is just making a test return, and we are not sure whether he can play or not. I think Pakistan, maybe lack a bit of firepower in the fast bowling department, especially if you are talking about the ban on the saliva. I talked to Saklan Mushtaq 3-4 days ago, and he said that James Anderson and Stuart Broad will not get as much swing as they used to be in England with the new ball. So this might go to Pakistan batting advantage. But I think in bowling, Pakistan surely will struggle, like we talk about the fast bowler will struggle. And I think as Leena said, that the spinner's role will be absolutely crucial, not for in Pakistan-England series, but obviously with these new interim playing conditions. And let's hope that Pakistan able to do well again in England. But I think lack of practice. Don't forget, Pakistan haven't played for 3 months now. They haven't practiced. They have no idea about how physically and mentally they are in the position right now. They will likely to arrive, I think, in England on 28th June or maybe 1st July. So they have 1 month early. Let's see if this 1 month proved to be enough. But I think advantage should be with England.
Certainly, advantage will be in England, but as I said before, Pakistan tend to do well there. They play their best cricket in England, and that's one of the main reasons is because they enjoy being there. Firstly, the crowd support, but this time they won't have it. We all know there's a massive Pakistani community in Britain. They love cricket more than we do, arguably. So I think that's one of the reasons why Pakistan end up doing well in England. That element is missing, and also Pakistan's batting, and that's been Pakistan's weakness for some time now. So without much match practice, it'll be very difficult, especially for the top order against the likes of Stuart Broad and James Anderson, and then they have Chris Wokes and Ben Stokes. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, excellent point raised, Ali, that, Pakistan's team does feel like home in England. I mean, I was, last time around, I was covering a test match for a foreign channel, and I saw the boys in Headingley, and they were roaming around in Headingley, around, freely, like they were at home. They were relaxed in the hotel, and then, I mean, the crowds, they feel very much at home, and they like the wicket. And not only the last few years, but they did well under Imran Khan, Wasim Akram, Miyadar. So they've been doing well in England. They like the wickets, and like you said, some of our spinners have done well. But this time around, like you said, one of the main factors, which is what I was discussing earlier on, And I give all the credit to the Pakistani cricket board for making this happen. But what I was saying earlier about the crowd and social distancing was, I was referring to the ECB. They should have maybe, done something like, in a 25,000 capacity, maybe 5,000 people with social distancing. Because cricket does not sort of flourish in the way players don't enjoy it in a way. We, the fans, the broadcasters, we don't enjoy it in a way when there's no crowd. I mean, that is why I gave the Gulab Jamun example, because I couldn't have come up with anything better, I think. I mean, the sweetness. Why I use the Gulab Jamun or I'm using the Barfi now is that the sweetness goes out when there is no crowd. But anyways, now we'll have to make do with whatever we have, and it's great that cricket's coming back. But you're absolutely right. Pakistan will enjoy it in England, but it will be a test without the saliva being, the ball without the saliva. We'll have to see how much our spinners can do well. And it'll be a good test. And I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, want Fawad Alam to play and do well. I mean, years and years, me and you, Ali, have been talking about him. I mean, I don't know how that boy has managed his nerves. That means he's got good nerves of steel. So now I feel he should be given a chance, and there should be no rubbish talk about his technique and stance. How come, Chandrapal got so many runs with the same technique and stance, similar? And I think it's Pope, the English opener, who's got similar stance. So I think these things don't matter. We just hope that now the players selected will do well. And I wish, we could have had crowds, but we are in a very, very desperate, sad, devastating era right now.
Right. Once again, you mentioned the crowd. I just think it's too early right now to bring a crowd in. Maybe we need another year for that to happen. It's baby steps right now. The fact that we're getting cricket is a big deal. So I think the ECB are doing what they can, and Abdul Ghaffar quite rightly mentioned that the PCB have been very proactive. Wasim Khan has been working very hard to get cricket moving. They cooperated with the PCB. So yeah, the boards work together, and also full credit to the West Indian Cricket Board as well for making this happen. Abdul Ghaffar, you mentioned Pakistan's bowling. Shaheen Shah Afridi is arguably right now one of the most talented bowlers in the world, and he's played quite a bit of cricket now. He's extremely skillful. He'll be a handful in England in any conditions, really. Then you've got Mohammad Abbas. We saw how well he did in 2018 in Lords. And then Wahab Riaz has also made a comeback. We may not have the spinners for these conditions. It depends if they get dry conditions in one of the test matches. Maybe Yasir Shah can get in. But I still think Pakistan have quite a potent bowling attack that can trouble England, as we've seen in the recent past.
Yes, you're right mentioning about Abbas, but I think Shaheen Shah Afridi and even Naseem Shah. Naseem just played 1-2 good tests in Pakistan. He struggled in Australia. I think it's more about experience. I think I'm so glad that Wahab Riaz will be with the squad, and maybe we can see him playing in the Test series if needed, as mentioned by Ms. Bowler. But I think it is so essential that Pakistan picked Wahab Riaz, especially in the absence of Amir, because he will definitely guide the young lads like Shaheen and Naseem Shah, and obviously Abbas is very experienced and have a phenomenal county record as well. But I think Yasir Shah should also have to come to his best, because for a year, for 18 months, he is not the Yasir Shah we know. And I think in England, if you remember in the last series, before last series, I guess, he played a very big hand, and Pakistan won 2 test matches because of his wonderful bowling, especially in the Oval. So I think you are right about they have good potential, especially Shaheen and Naseem Shah and obviously Abbas. But I think Amir and Wahab, they have the experience, more experience. And obviously, if you compare Pakistan bowling with England batting, so they are on a different level right now. Not only in modern cricket, the limited overs, but also in Test cricket, they have their own standard right now. So I think it will be a tough and and will be a challenge for the Pakistani bowlers, especially for the youngster, because they are playing England for the first time. Shaheen is facing Naseem. So let's see how they go about their business in the Test cricket.
Absolutely. And Wahab Riaz, you mentioned, it's good to see that he's back, and he made his debut in England, if I'm not mistaken. I think it may have been at the Oval. He picked up 5 wickets, and then in 2016 he also bowled very well. And it's very important, yes, while we have some talented young bowlers in there, like you mentioned, Naseem Shah, Shaheen Shah, Afridi, they need a bit of experience, a bit of guidance, someone standing them at mid-off, telling them what to do, what not to do when they get demoralized, someone who can pick them up, someone that they look up to. And that's extremely important, Leena. Yes, it's one thing to say that we want to blood young players, but you need to have some experience in there. When Wasim Akram made his debut, and I think it was 1984-85 in New Zealand, he still had Javed Mirdad there with him, guiding him. Shortly after that, Imran Khan met him in Australia. They played there. So it's very important for these young up-and-coming players, whether you're a fast bowler or a batsman like Haider Ali, who's also been selected.
True.
You need a little bit of experience to guide you on the field.
Well, I have a different view on this. With Wahab Riaz, he's a reluctant Test cricketer. He already announced that he doesn't want to play Test cricket anymore, and then now you are asking him to play Test cricket. If you remember in the 2017 Champions Trophy, Pakistan only started to do well when Wahab Riaz was dropped and Junaid Khan came in. And then Junaid Khan and Amir formed a really potent attack, and everything else fell into place. Now, Wahab Riaz is not a bowler who has conventional swing because of his wrist position and the way he goes across the batsman, which is a natural angle that he creates. He doesn't have that kind of swing, and he relies mostly on reverse swing. So when there's no saliva, where is the reverse swing coming from, I want to know. So why, ask a reluctant Test cricketer to come back into Test cricket? I feel that, Abbas, who did well in England last time, he is experienced enough to lead the younger boys. And then there's the captain who's an experienced batsman himself. We don't need a reluctant cricketer to come back into Test cricket. If someone doesn't realize that Test cricket is the pinnacle of the game, it is the most beautiful form of the game, then why ask him, Sarji, Test cricket khel lo? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't really work like that. For me, it doesn't. I mean, I feel that he should have been asked to play the T20s, and I don't see him doing that well. I mean, maybe he can get a few wickets with his pace or the bouncer, but traditionally, he's not an English conditions type bowler for me.
One would think that. I can understand why, but Wahab has done well in England, and not through reverse swing. But let's see what happens. Abdul Ghaffar, final question to you. I know you're running short on time. You'll have to leave us. What's your prediction, though? I understand that England are favourites. Pakistan haven't had a lot of practice, and England will have more practice going into the Pakistani series against the West Indies. But what's your gut feeling on this? Do you think Pakistan can surprise England with some good cricket?
It's tough to predict, to be honest, especially when the new playing conditions will be implemented, because we all know that James Anderson and Stuart Broad is actually the mainstay of the England fast bowlers, even the England bowling attack. Also, Moeen Ali can be very handful because he will be the main spinner now. In the absence of, obviously, Adil Rashid is not playing Test cricket anymore, and obviously another spinner, I don't remember his name, but I think, in my opinion, it will be a true test for the fast bowlers, to be honest, because maybe we saw, just as Leena mentioned, that we may saw that one or two new theories can be implemented. Some already suggested that maybe a new ball after every 45 hours or maybe after 60 hours. But I think it's not happening. Yeah, we are going to the same conventional 90-ball cricket in the Test cricket. I think that will be so tough for fast bowlers, for bowlers as well. But I think, as we all know, that Test cricket is actually the real cricket, and I think in the end, England, with the better preparation and obviously with the better match practice they had, they always started with a positive intent and obviously well prepared. And I think Pakistan has to play very well, and also they have to prepare very well. I think it is so important that our as Leena mentioned that we have 29 players traveling and obviously 14 team management officials. So I think it is so necessary that our test squad, especially those are supposed to play in test cricket, will surely get a very good preparation ahead of test series. And if they able to get good preparation, they will be in mentally and physical condition where they can challenge England in the test series.
Abdul Ghaffar, I know you're pressed for time. You have a show to do. Thank you very much for being with us. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Leena Moinazi, stay right there. We're going to need you for our second segment. We're going to discuss a very famous Pakistani commentator who passed away at the end of April this year. And our PTV World production team has prepared a special package on Mr. Ahmed Raza Zaidi. Let's listen in.
There are many stalwarts in Pakistan when it comes to being a cricket expert. Some of these stalwarts are no longer in this world, but their voices keep on echoing through our hearts and minds. One such gem was Mr. Ahmed Raza Zaidi. Starting his career back in 1987 as an English cricket commentator, Mr. Zaidi was not just a passionate voice on the microphone, but also an avid writer of critical origins. He wrote for many renowned sports magazines and newspapers. Mr. Zaidi also had the honor of covering many series for Pakistan as a journalist, ranging from Australia to UK and other parts of the world. Mr. Zaidi also had the distinction of being a CSP officer for the 13th Common Audit and Commerce Group and served in various ministries and on many government positions. But his love for cricket was something that knew no boundaries. He made regular appearances on radio and television and was also an integral part of Sports Extra on PTV World. Mr. Zaidi was not just a great expert of the game, but also a gem of a human being. Mr. A.R. Zaidi passed away on 24th of April due to cardiac arrest at the age of 62. He is currently a treasure that we have lost to the sands of time, but his legacy would continue to live on for ages to come.
Yeah, Mr. A.R. Zaidi was a guest on this show for many, many years, and he unexpectedly died in late April because of a terrible heart attack. It's unfortunate and we'll miss him greatly. And to talk about him in further detail and his career, I've been joined by senior commentator Mr. Chishti Mujahid. Chishti Mujahid Sahab, Assalamu Alaikum.
Walaikum Assalam, Ali. I was wondering whether you thought I had gone away or I had disappeared, because I haven't heard from you for a long time now. I hope all is well, everyone's fine.
All is well, actually. In fact, I've been away for some time, for a few months, and then Corona hit. So
I thought you were locked down, as we all are. But anyway.
Yeah. So and there was no show during the coronavirus as well. But I hope you're keeping well, Chishti Mujahid Saab.
I am keeping as well as I can under the circumstances. But yes, can't complain.
We're all trying our best here. Chishti Mujahid Saab, you spent a lot of time with Mr. A.R. Zaidi, you worked with him, and we've done some shows together right here in the studio. Tell us about your experience with Ahmed Raza Zaidi.
Yes, he is an absolutely marvelous personality. It was very nice to be around with him when he was either commentating or off the air or something. I didn't have too much interaction with him because he was based in the north, that is Rawalpindi, and his hometown was Faisalabad. I am the Karachiite, but we have commentated together, particularly in Faisalabad test matches and in Rawalpindi, and then of course later on in these 2020s and 50-50 or whatever they have these days. And we have also commentated together abroad on certain occasions, in Australia, in Sharjah, in India. But I think the best thing, Mr. Zaidi was an absolutely meticulous commentator and student. He was a very keen student of the game. He knew almost everything by heart, which I didn't, and so I agreed with him. And he was also great fun to be around after the commentary stints. And I think when I went to Islamabad or Rawalpindi, because the matches are played in Rawalpindi, we had a tea in the evening or after tea meal at the Islamabad club. And whenever he came to Karachi, sometimes on cricket, I remember he was also a very senior civil servant, so he came to Karachi for official work. And so I think we spent a few evenings at the boat club and abroad. In Sharjah and in Dubai, we did spend some time together. He was a very charming personality. He was very, I mean, he was a great humorist. I mean, he had jokes, and then some of the jokes I didn't understand for some reason or the other. But then I asked him to explain them to me, and he did. I think I did that on purpose because it was even better, because when you didn't understand the joke and he tried to explain it to you, it was even funnier. He was a great personality. And yes, what is it?
No, I was just going to move to Leena Moin Aziz. I'm sure she's still with us. Leena, you spent a lot of time with A.R. Zaidi, not only here on this show, but commentating with him. And alongside him, and you've spoken many times about how much you learned from him and how much fun it was being around him, commentating with him especially.
Absolutely. I mean, he always thought of me as a younger sister, and he was willing to teach me. When I started about 15, 16 years ago, first time on the radio, he was the one I was commentating next to, and he was always willing to transfer his knowledge. And like Chishti Saab was saying, he always had always joked around, kept the atmosphere of the commentary box really jovial and happening, and always cracking a joke, and always, whenever I commentated with him, I felt very relaxed because, he never gave you too much advice. He let you be, and then, he had something to tell you, he would always tell you. So it's very relaxed commentating with him, and I always thought of him as an older brother. He did have this particular dry humor, which Chishti Saab was referring to also. Sometimes you wouldn't understand the joke, and then he would explain what he meant. So he was great, fun to be around, and him being gone, first of all, I just couldn't believe it. There were days and days when I was so sad, and I thought next time when I go and commentate, he wouldn't be there, and the thought of him not being there, it really kind of put me down.
Yeah, I know you spent a lot of time with him, Leena, and you always spoke about how much fun you had with him in the commentary box. Chishti Mujahid Saab, I remember he used to speak of you very, very fondly. He looked up to you as a senior commentator, and he'd always use you as an example, saying that look at the way Chishti Mujahid Saab commentates. He doesn't talk too much. He knows exactly when to speak and when not to speak. So I think, and as a commentator, I guess what Mr. Zaidi brought to the box, he brought a little something different. He brought humor, a great deal of excitement. So I guess, I know you guys didn't commentate often together, but you different types of commentators, and you would have complemented each other very well.
No, we commentated enough to know each other, and it was great fun. Now, the basic thing in commentary, remember, you're also a commentator, is that you never contradict your co-commentator, and then you never interrupt him in between. And he kept to these two things. If I made a mistake, we let it pass. If he made a mistake, I let it pass. Then he said, I made this. I said, yes, we let it pass, and then we'll make it up some other time. You don't have to keep explaining it that time. You made a mistake. If you said it's 71 for 4 rather than 71 for 3, the world doesn't fall down. So he stuck to the principles of comedy. Another thing which I want to bring in is that Mr. Zaidi was a personality we needed because of his passion for cricket commentary, his passion for broadcasting, and also his experience in the civil servant. he could have been a very good administrator in Radio Pakistan. He was particularly a very good radio commentator, remember that, rather than a TV one. And look at the sorry state of affairs of TV commentary and radio commentary these days. Look at the payments which are made to commentators, and because of the fees structure of Radio Pakistan and Pakistan Television, it's almost as if it's an auction going on. Who's the cheapest one? Let's take him. So I think we must, and I'm sorry to lose Mr. Zaidi, because he was just beginning to get hold of things. He knew he was a very senior civil servant, because I think he'd just retired and was either working as a consultant or something. And he was, if we had somebody like him as a consultant in Radio Pakistan and the other things, because of his knowledge of accountancy and finance and all the workings, I'm sure Radio Pakistan may have done better. It used to be a wonderful organization at one time. You're too young, but we used to send teams abroad. We used to send teams to the venues rather than this nonsensical thing of sitting in front of a television and broadcasting, running commentary and all that. But Zaidi, of course, was a pioneer in all this. He said, we must do the commentary. We must do this tournament. We should do it, whatever happens. And for that, and he was quite healthy. I mean, the last time I met him was during that, it was the PSL, was it? The Pakistan Super League, the matches in Rawalpindi. He was quite hale and hearty. In fact, Miss Moeen and he used to cart me around from and to the ground, which was very kind of both of them. And in fact, we came in Miss Moeen's huge car, and I went back with Mr. Zaidi, and I trusted him driving, although I think he was at times not concentrating. He was more concentrating on what the game had been like. I said, Zaidi, all right, but once we reach the hotel, then we'll talk all about what the game was. But he was great fun, and I was shocked out of my wits. It's absolutely. Yeah.
I think we all were. We were all shocked. He spent.
I mean, I didn't believe it when somebody rang me up in the morning. He says, you know, one of your commentary fans has expired. I said, oh, now a few names came to my mind probably, including my own. But then I said, no, I'm still around. But and then they said, it's Mr. Zaidi. I said, no, you must be wrong. Because he was only 60, I think, just about turned 60, and he was young. I'm sorry, I'm very sorry to lose him, because I've lost a friend, I've lost somebody who's been a colleague, somebody who's fun, and I always look forward to see him, and may God rest his soul in peace and give his family and those who he has left behind the courage, fortitude and strength to bear this irreparable loss, and give all of us that courage as well, because we've lost a friend and a companion.
Chishti Mujahid Saab, thank you very much for sharing your memories of former cricket commentator Mr. A.R. Zaidi, who passed away late April this year. Chishti Mujahid Saab, thank you very much for speaking to us. We've now been joined by another colleague and friend of Mr. A.R. Zaidi's, Mr. Raja Asad. Raja Asad Saab, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Raja Asad Saab, I'm sure you were shocked, just like the rest of us, when you heard of Mr. Zaidi's passing. Your thoughts on Mr. A.R. Zaidi and the memories you shared with him?
Yes, Ghaffar, to start with, it was very shocking for me, because a day earlier, he sent me his picture that he's laying on bed in a hospital. And I immediately called him, but he did not respond. Then he sent me a message that he has some urinary problem and having some sort of a pneumonia. So I told him that just recover early and just go back to your home because of coronavirus. But to my all surprise and shock, next day I received a message that he is no more. So all the things I've lost, I missed him the most. He was having a friendship for over 2 decades. It was a very active friendship. Every day he called me and we talk in length. Zaidi Saab was very active. He was cricket activist. Besides commentary, he was fully involved in matters related to cricket administration and cricket writing. PTV and Radio Pakistan were his second home. He was friend of the producers and anchors, and he loved their company. I was listening to Chishti Saab. He proudly mentioned his friendship with cricket commentators. Whenever he comes to Lahore, we had time together. And fortunately, during his last day, he was very active. He was never so active. I suggest him that beside doing all the matches in Pindi, you should also come to Lahore during the Bangladesh women team, Bangladesh men's team, and then PSL. He said to me, no, I'm not 100% fit, so I can't. But I suggested, I hard-pressed him that you should come to Lahore as well. Then he came to Lahore and he was overjoyed. I saw him sitting in the lunch area and talking and socially mingling with the sport journalists about cricket matters. He was looking, out of the world. Then he went to Multan for the PSL matches, and he was very happy.
Raja Saab, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on your friend, Mr. A.R. Zaidi. Leena Moin Aziz, I hope you're still with us. One final thought. We've said it before, that one thing that always stands out, especially with us, about Mr. A.R. Zaidi, because we know him in a cricketing capacity, is his love for the game. That's something that we'll always remember.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I learned so much from him, and like Chishti Saab said, I was actually happy to, during the whole PSL, all the matches in PSL, I was so happy to take both Chishti Saab and Zaidi Saab with me, drive them to the ground in my car. So because I got extra few minutes of their company, the half an hour extra driving up to the ground, talking to both legends. I mean, Chishti Saab and Zaidi Saab, getting extra time with them, and getting that precious time. I mean, I don't know if I can ever get that again. And during the 2 test matches in Pindi, the Sri Lankan test match and Bangladesh test match.
Right, Leena, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it at that. We're running out of time. Thank you very much for speaking to us and sharing your thoughts about Mr. A.R. Zaidi, who's no longer with us. Now, that's all we have time for. Keep watching Sports Extra on PTV World. See you next time. Bye-bye.